Greetings, humanoids of the internet. My name is Bob, and this is episode number 135 of Journey into Space. Now, what I'm going to do today, since I don't have the Kethane mod and I can't do what I normally would otherwise would have intended, is I'm going to test out some a mod. This is the FASA mod by my apologies, I do not know what your name is. Shit, well, I'm thinking it must be created by Frizzank. Don't hold me to that. That's the name I see on the page I'm looking at. And what it is it's a mod that allows you to sort of recreate or to create Kerbalized versions of historical spacecraft. This is Explorer 1. Explorer 1 was the first U.S. satellite in orbit, and so that was a big event for the U.S. because they were kind of worried about getting it done, because Sputnik had already been launched. And in a lot of ways it was kind of sort of cobbled together with stuff they had on hand. Like up here there's a bunch of solid rockets that were like military solid rockets, which they sort of happened to have on hand, and so they went with it. But anyway, I really like old rockets. My favorite is actually the Atlas rocket, which was in a sense was kind of a little bit of an advanced rocket in a sense. It had a balloon tank. That means the fuel tank could weigh less, and it was a stage and a half to orbit. There was some engines that dropped off, but otherwise it was other than that it was single stage to orbit. So anyway, this is the Explorer 1. I have no idea what to do here. I'm just going to launch it. I assume I throttle to maximum first, as I normally would do. Throttle to maximum. I don't know if he even has an SAS. SAS on. In 3, 2, 1. Basically, I'm just going to fly this thing and hit stage when the time comes. In the original rocket, the satellite was actually spinning to stabilize it. Rather gradual acceleration here. Working on getting up here to 5,000 feet, 5,000 meters here for a while. Maybe that was originally how slow it was. Okay, standing by for my gravity turn. Gravity turn. Turns very nicely. No problems. Now, since these are primarily solid rockets, I have no idea how this is going to work out, honestly. Just do not know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt it pretty far over, and then, well, I think I am. And stage. These are solid rockets. I don't believe these are throttleable. I think they just go until they stop going. Like that. Okay, and then we have the little solid rockets. These, although the originals weren't, these are actually supposed to be throttleable. So yeah. Okay, well, it's actually not throttleable. Let's go ahead and tilt it over. It still says it has... Oh, because there's a... Is there a... No, there's no central core. Okay. Well, what we'll do is we'll get to our apps and see if this thing has any further juice in it. Otherwise, I would assume that the Explorer, our first Explorer spacecraft is not making it to orbit. Warp up a little bit. Okay, for whatever reason, it says it's got solid fuel in it. Oh, it's because of that. Okay. Never mind. Okay, well, it got to orbit. There it is, the Explorer spacecraft. Extend the old antenna. Activate Geiger counter. It's got no electricity. Yeah, it does. Let's go ahead and transmit our non-existent data. Alright, well, that was a successful expedition. Let's see, what was... I guess probably technically Mercury Redstone would be next. But though I may want to skip ahead and go straight to Mercury Atlas, because that's more interesting. Let's look at Mercury Redstone first, if they have one. Mercury Redstone. Oh. Mercury Redstone was also another sort of cobbled together out of military rockets they already had, pretty much. Does he have a parachute? Parachute is an important part of... Oh yeah, it says it does. Okay. Oh, what the hell? It's a suborbital flight, so we'll go and shoot Mercury Redstone into space. Again, this was a such a tiny rocket compared to most of them. I mean, if you think about it, a Kerbal's not that big anyway. relatively small rocket. It's a orbital flight, so we'll just go ahead and launch it anyway. At all. Throttle to maximum. SAS on. 3, 2, 1, go. Again, very gradual liftoff. I don't know whether I should be tilting it to 10,000 like I would normally, or what. I'm going to assume so. What the hell is this? Shepard through the first Mercury Redstone mission. And he famously had to pee very badly, and they didn't know what to do because they didn't want to get him out of the capsule to pee. So they decided that the shorting electricals in his suit probably wouldn't hurt him, and so they allowed him to go ahead and go in his suit, because apparently before then they never realized this was an issue. Strangely enough, just never thought about that. And so afterwards, of course, astronauts were equipped with space diapers. Gagarin's flight was so short, I don't think they worried about space diapers. And then afterwards, of course, space diapers were normal attire. He has a hard time staying on the course here. I'm guessing that's this. Yeah. Let's go and take rid of that. Oh, very cool. The launch escape system. And for the Mercury Redstone, the capsule didn't have to be equipped with retro rockets because it was just a suborbital trajectory. Afterwards, they had to put retro rockets on the Mercury spacecraft to get them to come back once they were getting in orbit. Oh, I take it back. There are retro rockets on that. I don't know if there were on the original Mercury Redstone or not, because I would assume that it's suborbital. They don't need to brake or anything. So I would hazard to guess that there were actually not retro rockets on the Mercury Redstone, because they simply weren't needed. I mean, obviously. And the SAS does nothing. It's just basically just spinning around. There's monopropellant on it, but I did not think to put any kind of monopropellant items on it. I hope Alan Shepard wasn't spinning around like this. That'd be very uncomfortable. Alright, let's cut to the chase. Okay, like Alan Shepard, we are actually technically in space, but we are not, of course, anything like in orbit. So we're going to go ahead and splash down and just see what that's all about. Okay, we got a bit of an issue here in that we still have the retro rocket pack attached, so I guess we will need to go ahead and deploy that before we... apparently it has an SAS on it, it just has very little effect. But since the atmosphere is stabilizing me a little bit, I'll go ahead and ignite the rockets. It's like a water sprinkler. How much stress does that thing put out? 25 minutes, okay. And deploy the parachute. Whoop. Good thing that wasn't going fast. Really, an amazing amount of work would have to go into. I mean, these are custom parachutes and everything. So making this mod must have required quite a bit of work. Their own custom parachutes and the whole shebang. Okay, getting ready for a little splashdown. And there we go. Alan Shepard / Fedor Kerman has successfully done a suborbital flight. Okay. Oh yeah, it's just a standard pod there. Alrighty. Next comes up the Mercury Atlas. Now I may want to, I believe that the load. Where is Mercury Atlas? Mercury Atlas. Now see, that's a rocket. That's what rocket should look like right there. Atlas is one of my favorite rockets. Let's see, this has monopropellant. It doesn't have, come on, doesn't have any kind of reaction system on it. Let's go ahead and put one on it. All kinds of neat parts that came with that FASA. There's a Gemini thruster pack, Titan thruster pack, Mercury RCS thruster pack. Go on top. Oh, there's already there. Okay, we're good. Alright. You can see that is very much larger than the Redstone. That is what's required to get to orbit. And like I said, it's a stage and a half to orbit. What happens is, this is in the original Atlas. This was a balloon tank, which means it was actually held up by its internal pressure and would collapse if that internal pressure had been lapsed. So that's a very efficient way to make fuel tanks. It's has its own particular set of problems. Also, y'all may be familiar with the lubrication product WD-40. That was actually invented for the Atlas rocket because apparently this whole thing was prone to corrosion or something, and they had to liberally coat the outside surface of it with WD-40, leading to it being popularized as a product for lubricating things. Yes. Alright, let's launch. Alright, shiny. Battle to maximum. SAS on. And 3, 2, 1. That is a rocket right there, man. That is the way rockets ought to look. Now I'm curious, obviously at some point I have to jettison these side rockets. I'm not sure what that point is. I think what I'll do is I will try jettisoning them after the gravity turn. Or a little bit after that. Okay, standing by for gravity turn. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get us in that part. I may have jettisoned those side engines too soon. Now, unlike the Mercury Redstone and the, I think it was the Jupiter C that launched the Explorer, this rocket was not cobbled together from pre-existing parts. It's a custom-made design designed to launch American ICBMs, but also they figured they might as well throw some people up there too. What the hell? That's the same way as with Sputnik. Now, Sputnik was originally designed to be designed as an ICBM, a particularly inefficient ICBM. I mean, it's yeah, it's not a thing where you can just pull the trigger and have it go. You have to, a lot of preparation involved if you want to go with war with a Sputnik or an Atlas, either one. But they were twisted from their original purposes for a better cause, which is launching people into space. But both of them were both the Sputnik, the Vostok launcher and the Atlas were both originally and primarily military ICBMs. And in fact, the rocket that launched the Gemini spacecraft was also an ICBM. In that case, it was a rather more sensible ICBM in that it was used hypergolic, so you didn't have to. It wasn't something where you had to go say, oh, we're going to war, and so we need to refuel this thing for a day, and then we're ready to launch nukes. No, it was fueled with hypergolics and could just sit on the launch pad ready to go at a moment's notice. So, but in any case, the Gemini was also an ICBM, and I guess the first manned spacecraft that the United States had that was not an ICBM was the Saturn. That would make an extremely heavy lifting ICBM, but of course it actually was custom built for the Apollo program. Unlike the Atlas or the Titan II. Come on. And unlike the Atlas, the same launcher that launched Vostok is still launching Soyuz today. I'm not sure why they wouldn't use Atlas for that sort of purpose, except I don't think it's not very adaptable as far as changing it to increase load. Also, the payload you have to carry on top of that balloon tank, so there's probably only a very small amount of weight you can put on that thing before it's going to start wanting to crumple. I mean, still, if they redesigned it, it would still be an excellent idea, because of the balloon tanks are so much lighter in weight than their typical liquid fuel tanks. I am not aware of whether, I mean, I assume that the Long March rocket that launches the Chinese Shenzhou spacecraft is also a military rocket. I don't know that for a fact. I assume that's probably the case. It seems to be easier to get funding for weapons than it is to get funding for a lot of other stuff. Oh, I'll show you something. Speaking of Shenzhou, here we'll pop over here and take a look at this. It's something I sort of did on my own, not intending for it to be part of any journey into space or anything. This is a sort of a simulation of, here's like something similar to a Shenzhou spacecraft. Very wobbly though. I don't know what's causing that. I've changed out some parts in the model, so if I launch it again, hopefully won't have that problem, but this part here is very wobbly. In any case, it's a sort of a mock-up of the Shenzhou spacecraft and their space station. Not too literally. I mean, sort of the same general idea, I guess. Okay, and something perhaps more interesting, Acorn 2. This is not historical in any way. This is the Acorn 2. Whoop, 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 don't crash, please. Whoop, 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 don't crash. This is the Acorn 2 prototype single-stage to minimus vertical landing spacecraft. You can see all these air intakes for the 16 jet engines, and there are 9 of the Fatman 160, I think it is. No, Fatman 140, Fatman 40 nuclear engines. So anyway, that is a prototype I am working on. It's not quite ready to go to Minimus yet. Kind of a weird looking thing in it. And the idea is it would return to Kerbin and land vertically on Kerbin. Anyway, getting back to our historical spacecraft. I'm sorry I didn't record that because that looked hella awesome. I just got rid of the launch tower, which I probably should have done earlier, and it went spiraling off into the cosmos in a most satisfactory way. I regret now that I was not recording then, because that was actually pretty damn cool. Okay, even though we still have some fuel in the tanks here, let's go ahead and jettison them. And here we are with the Mercury spacecraft. As I probably could have figured, the SAS here is minimal. There's essentially no SAS at all. Yeah, no SAS at all. I have a problem in KSP with the right-click buttons. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll get around to some nice soft piece of ocean and plop her down. Okay, right about here. Now in order to get turned to retrograde, I'm going to have to go ahead and use the thrusters, or else get out and push. Let's go ahead and turn on the RCS. And I guess these are solid rockets here. Yep, that's what they are. I sincerely hope that re-entered us. Yes, it did. I'm guessing if this is at all similar to the historic spacecraft, they would have had to actually use their thrusters to keep themselves on track. If they were burning, if it was hard to deviate anyway, they'd have to use thrusters to get back on track. Okay. It's a primitive spacecraft. I mean, there's no question about that. Now, not Alan Shepard, John Glenn, on his original orbit of the Earth, the first American in orbit, they had a light showing up in mission control that indicated that the heat sink was loose, which means that, of course, if they got rid of that thruster pack, he might burn up in the atmosphere. So they actually had him leave it on and enter the atmosphere with that thruster pack attached to it. Of course, it burned up in the process, but there was some concern that he had a loose heat shield and wouldn't be making it back, especially if they let go of that thruster pack. That the heat shield might go with it, and he would be completely fucked. Okay, about to go into some re-entry heating here. Hope I don't land on these cliffs here. That would be unfortunate. And of course, the Mercury spacecraft was designed to land in water, which I sincerely hope we were about to do. Of course, in KSP, probably landing on the land wouldn't be fatal, but it would certainly, for the Mercury spacecraft, if landing on land would either be a fatal occurrence or at least very, very unpleasant for the astronaut. Oh, it looks like we may hit the water. Maybe. Looks like actually thought you were about to land right on the Kerbal Space Center here. Because of my proximity to land, I'm going to kind of do a halo jump here and deploy the parachute maybe a little bit later than I normally would, so I can get more distance downrange. But on the other hand, I don't think it's going to make any difference. Yeah, we're not going to land in the water, so screw it. Okay, 6,000 meters. I believe that was the altitude at which Gagarin actually jumped from his spacecraft in the first Vostok mission. They actually weren't feeling too good about his ability to actually land the capsule and step out alive, so they had it set up to where he would eject at about 6,000 meters, I think it was. Okay, heading in for a splashdown in the cornfields of Iowa here. Bunk. Alright. John Glenn / Fredorf Kerman again. First American first American in orbit. First American in orbit. We don't count those other guys. None. Let's see. I think I'm going to do the. I'm not going to try to. I'm not going to do the Apollo. I'm going to do. What the hell is that? Gemini lander pod? That's some part of some injection system? What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Looks interesting, whatever it is. Gemini lander pod. I've got to stop and find out what the hell that is, because one, it looks cool, and two, I don't know what it is. Okay, sort of what it sounds like. This was, although it doesn't really look like the actual designs very much, but there's actually a proposal called Advanced Gemini to land on the moon using Gemini. Basically, you would either, I don't know if they would rendezvous the lander pod with Gemini in lunar orbit, or what exactly. But anyway, basically, this is a very simple one-man moon lander. That is messed up. Wonder if there's other part. There must be other parts to it. That's the LEM's descent module. At some point, I want to put the Gemini together. That was a unmanned target vehicle for their learning how to rendezvous and stuff. Well, that's always handy to have, external rocket fuel tank. I wonder. They have a. See, we don't know what that's big Gemini is. What? Okay, here we go. Let's load this. Okay. No, that's not the pod. That's not the pod. That looks like well, I don't know what that is. I mean, I know what it is. It's Gemini, but take a look at this. Well, there's no lander in that. Apparently, there's among the advanced Gemini concepts that were considered was launching a Gemini aboard a Saturn 1B. Because before they let's take a look at the Atlas stuff. Before they had figured out the lunar orbit rendezvous technique, they were wondering how they were going to get a big enough rocket to do the direct descent strategy. Okay, so there's the Gemini. I'm guessing that was the docking target? Yeah, that was the docking target. The idea was they would stick the nose of the Gemini in there as sort of a simulation of docking, which they didn't have the docking port yet. basically it was a practice run for doing rendezvous and docking. And in one of those missions, the Gemini spacecraft got into a violent roll because their reaction control system screwed up, and Neil Armstrong, who was commander of that mission, saved the day by pushing the right buttons to make that stop happening. Yes. Okay. Just trying to figure out what that pod is all about. Whether there's a... Alright, let's see if I'm going to see if I can find the parts to this the Gemini lander thing. Okay, apparently this is how the Gemini lander was supposed to go together. Excuse me. Only difference is that in the real proposal for landing a guy using Gemini, this was not a covered cockpit. In other words, the guy would be sitting in a chair in a spacesuit. Basically, there's no pressurization involved. I'm very dubious that this would be enough fuel to get somebody down and back. Let me just launch this right quick and see what happens. Well, first, gotta separate the parachute. Let's see if it'll take off on carbon gravity. I think the idea of such small little lander type vehicles is pretty cool. Probably the guys were glad that they were in the LM and not in one of these things, but the idea is pretty cool anyway. Let's see. SAS on. I have no idea how much SAS strength this has. 3, 2, 1, go. That's pretty nifty. Let's see if I can land on the old VAB here. I'm going the wrong way. Yeah, a very agile little lander. Yep. Worked. Let's get him back to the launch pad then. Having a Neil Armstrong moment. It's a very nimble little craft. Very cool looking on the inside too. Wow. Whoa. Any buttons work? No. How very cool. That's a swell little pod. I like it. I likes it. I might have to use that pod sometime. Alright. Let's see. I think the Gemini was the last item on my last flight on my historic flights menu. Then we'll have to call it quits for today. At this point, I would highly recommend getting this mod because it's very cool. Let me go ahead and save this for future reference. I think it's quite possible that that could actually make it to the surface and back, as long as you didn't have any add-ons to speak of. Okay. Oh, shit, no. Fuck. Fuck, fuck, fuck. I enjoyed that pod so much I wanted to launch it again. Nope. Yeah, a bare bones lander, that would absolutely work. Load. Okay, I'm going with the FASA Gemini Titan II. Okay, it looks like the right beast. There's some of these, I won't show them all to you, but there's some of these ships that come with the mod pack that are really far out, like a shuttle based on Gemini and space station based on Gemini. It's very cool that the guy or the person who had made this mod didn't simply reproduce the actual historical spacecraft that were actually flown, but also some of the ideas that they were going through, like that lander pod for Gemini. That's pretty damn cool. That's some dedication there. Not only do the historic rockets, all the like the Jupiter C and the Redstone and the Gina and the Titan II, but also do all a lot of the ideas that they had in mind at that time for doing more with Gemini than they actually wound up doing. So that was very cool. Okay, so we don't have a launch escape system here? Evidently not. Yeah, I don't know what all's in here, or what the hell. What's going on? We're just gonna launch it. Alright, throttle to maximum. SAS on. We got Corbus and Fredor. That's so cool. Check that shit out, man. It looks like a Gemini spacecraft. Sure enough. That is world of cool. Hats off to whoever made this mod. Definitely a superior product here. Okay. 3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Just very slow liftoff. Please excuse the various spurious sounds you may be hearing. I'm grabbing myself an M&M while we take off here. Oh shit. I dropped an M&M fragment on my pants. Okay. Apologies for my crunching M&M sounds. Let's get it ready for gravity turn. Gravity turn. Again, no SAS, which I believe would have been accurate for the time. They didn't have reaction wheels to speak of till I think it was really until the space station. I mean the ISS. The ISS has reaction wheels. As far as other spacecraft having them, I'm not certain. Okay, let's warp up a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Again, there's no SAS. Apparently no vectoring either. Okay, there is vector. Okay, so there's vectoring, but there's no SAS, which again would have been true to the historic spacecraft. They didn't have reaction wheels in them. Okay. I have to assume this has some sort of retro rockets in it, otherwise these guys are not going home. I mean, if I ditch the this part. Oh, it's probably in here. Okay. Yeah, there surely is some manner of retro vehicle, retro rocket in here. Yes? No? Maybe? Alright, how about we take a chance? Yeah, there's retros there. Alright, I'm just curious. Can't really see anything out the windows yet. Let's do a roll. Man, this is so awesome, man. It's really, in a sense, almost like being in the Gemini spacecraft. Although I don't think that the Gemini astronauts actually had this much room. Of course, jet Kerbals are fairly small. And it's got a roast beef sandwich here. Well, let's turn this away around so these guys can actually see something. I guess there must be some infinitesimally small bit of SAS involved here, but very small. Not enough to maneuver the vehicle to speak of. There we go. Yes, again, zoom that much in that mirror window into that window. Yeah, I sort of visualize the actual Gemini spacecraft with them being like in the seats of a sports car, that close together. But otherwise, it's quite a cool experience. I think there was some sort of maybe it was Gus Grissom who got in trouble for bringing an actual sandwich up with him. It was like, no, you're supposed to use space food. No, I want a corned beef sandwich. I think that may be a tongue-in-cheek reference to that fact. Okay, well, that's all we have time for right now. And until next time, I may do another Journey into Space episode based on the so I don't have Kethane, based on the Acorn vehicle. We'll see. I'm certainly going to play with the Acorn vehicle some more probably today, but I don't know if I'm going to bother to record it or not. In any case, that's all for right now, and until next time, hasta la vista. Oh, and go out and get this mod, because it's a damn cool mod. Okay? Adios. Okay, one last thing. This is so cool. This is the Lunar Module that's included in the mod. You got a little laptop there. I don't think they had laptops back in the 60s, to speak of. And this is fairly, at least the front part of it is. The back part doesn't exactly exist in this model, I don't think. But the front part of it is fairly similar to the way the actual lunar lander was. I mean, roughly speaking. They weren't sitting, though. They were standing up. Anyway, pretty cool. I thought I'd share with that. What the hell's... He's got a rear view mirror there? What the hell's going on with that? That's weird. Take a look at the other side. Oh, other side. Maybe that's actually a downward pointing mirror of some sort. Which is... Oh, well, shit. Which is not what the LEM had. They stood up and looked right out the window, but I can see how that would be useful. Let me just try something right quick. Nope, unlike the Gemini lander, this is not taken off the ground. Well, something happened. Yeah, that is apparently a rear view mirror of some sort. Does not appear to be one to come up. Let's see how the... That's so cool. Very cool. Okay, I just wanted to show you that. I don't think it had a ladder on the other end, though. I think that's just somebody being lazy and not doing this kind of landing leg over here. See, they got a ladder here in the front and ladder in back, which I don't think they actually had. I may be wrong about that, but I don't believe they actually had a ladder in back. Anyway, thanks. Bye.